now.
Okay,
Awesome.
Can we turn on captions? That is a good question, Nate. Can we turn on captions? I believe we can. So let me it might be on yours, Ida, because you're the host.
Okay.
Do you see anything where it lets you turn on captions?
Let me see.
Because I don't see it on my end.
Nate, do you know how to where
It's
I could
usually
go?
in the bottom right, like all the way in, it says like more, and it'll be something like enable live transcript.
Okay, so it's not letting us do that, which means it might. So, okay, so we're using the hi at Be the Upside account versus the Aaron.Halper at Be the Upside account. On my account, it has that set up. I have a feeling we just have, if you wouldn't mind making a note, Ida, I think it's in the settings next time we set up one of these.
Absolutely.
That we can do that, but we might be able to do it on the back end when we do the recording. To add, maybe if you can figure that out, Ida, we can add.
Would be the case. I would imagine I would not have the stamina for that.
That would be great. And then I'm just going to mute you. Yes. If everyone could stay muted, that would be awesome. That's the other thing, Ida. So when this meeting is set up, we want to make sure that everyone is muted upon arrival so that everyone's automatically muted, just because I don't know, I'm muting people, but I see like everyone, like there are a lot of people who are not muted. So all right, let's get the show on the road. And I will be dipping out eventually so that I don't take over Ida's entire thing. The goal is that Ida runs our Write and Create sessions, but since Ida's new, I am kind of co-piloting this.
Helping me along. Yeah. No, thank you so much, Erin. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the assistance. So hi, everyone. Welcome to a Write and Create session. I'm very excited about today's session because it is, I think, the first and my first with a guest host. I'm very excited. So as you may have seen, today's session is about choosing the moments worth writing about with our guest host, Nate Shalev. And so essentially what the purpose of this session is to help us decide, how we think of moments in our personal or professional lives that connect to our business, how to think about them in a way that we can write about them and ultimately share that with our community, as well as think about, maybe what's a framework to really look at those moments and how we can share that. So the takeaway for this session, ultimately, we want you all to walk away with one, a ready to share post that you will be creating that Nate will lead us in, as well as several ideas and inspirations for the future. And again, a framework to start to really think about how we can share these moments and think about them. So I want to get right into it. But before that, I want to give a little bit of an introduction to our guest. So Nate Shalev is a leading expert on inclusivity, helping to create workplace cultures where both businesses and people thrive. They were named a LinkedIn top voice, and their expertise has been highlighted in the Harvard Business Review, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and more. Nate earned a BA from Barnard College of Columbia University, where they had a concentration in creative writing, which is perfect for this session. They received an MA from NYU. And they're the founder of Revel Impact, a consultancy that specializes in social impact and diversity, equity, and inclusion. So thank you so much, Nate, for taking the time to join us and to share your expertise. I know you have a lot of amazing things prepared, so I don't want to take up any more time. Let's get started and handing it over to you.
Amazing. Thank you all so much. I am so excited to be doing this with all of you. So one of the things about creative writing that is a myth, or writing in general, is that it just happens. And there is a bit of magic within it, but it's also about showing up for writing. It's about showing up for creativity, being prepared for it, and training our brains to be able to work in this way. And so that's part of what we're going to be doing today. Elizabeth Gilbert in Big Magic, highly recommend the book. But in that book, she talks about how she would actually get ready for her writing sessions, that she would put on makeup and wear heels and get dressed up and actually be ready for her date with her writing session. And so in that spirit, I am going to invite us all to participate in that right now. So I'm going to put on some music And I'm going to invite us to either limit 2 distractions in your area. So close the window if you need to, shoo the dog out of the room, limit 2 distractions, or bring in 2 things that are going to make you more present. So are you a little hungry? Are you thirsty? Do you need a snack? Are you a little cold? Whatever you might need to do to be as ready for this writing session, and whatever you need to do to prepare for it, go for it, whatever that means for you. So I'll put on some music. We'll have like 30 seconds to a minute to go get ready for our work together and to show up for yourself and creativity. And then we'll get into it. Oh, I might not have screen sharing capability. Let's see.
I can make you a co-host.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Co-host.
That's all right. It's saying it's failing, but that's okay. Okay.
Ida can sing for us.
I'll put it on, but I don't know if you can hear it through the computer. Amazing. So if you can hear the sound of my voice, it'll be time to start heading back. Since we don't have our music here, so you can just use my voice as our cue, and that is all right. So if you can hear the sound of my voice, it's time for us to start heading back. If you're going to be on screen, you can go ahead and turn your camera on so we know that you are ready to join us. Amazing. Cool. So thank you all so much. I am so ready for this, and I hope now we are also a little bit ready to jump into this. So as Ida mentioned, we're going to be guiding through a writing exercise. We're going to be leaving here with a ready to share post for it. And before we start, there's a lot that can be wrapped up in writing. So I'm going to be helping us through some specific techniques and frameworks and all of that. But no matter what I can give you, there's something about writing that sometimes we need to overcome. And so to normalize some of that, I'm going to ask us to participate in something. So I'm going to say a series of statements, and I'm going to ask you to give your answer using a fist to a 5. So a fist is you don't agree with the thing I'm saying at all. You're like, why would I even suggest a thing? So that's a fist. And a 5 is like, you could not agree more with this statement. If you're on camera, I'm going to ask you to throw up a specific number for what your statement is. And if you're off camera, throw it in the chat. So our first thing is writing scares me. So writing scares me. If you agree with that writing scares you, throw a number up that's closer to a 5. If writing does not scare you at all, you can throw up a fist. And again, if you're on camera, put up a number. Okay, cool. I'm seeing a huge mix, and it depends on context. I love it. Amazing. The next thing is, I don't think anyone will listen to me. I don't think anyone will listen to me. What do y'all think? What's the number for that? Okay. Seeing more lower numbers on this. All right. I'm worried that sharing my personal stories won't make me seem professional. So I'm scared that, or I'm worried that sharing personal stories won't seem professional. Cool. Amazing. I'm worried about getting a negative reaction. I'm worried about getting a negative reaction. Okay. Seeing a huge mix there. It's either all the way on one end or all the way on the other end of the spectrum. Awesome. I don't think I'll have anything to say. I don't think I have anything to say. Okay. Seeing also a mix there. And our last one is I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. Amazing. All right. Thank you all so much. Yeah. So been working on changing the mindset. Absolutely. And so I can't really dispel any of those concerns or worries that you might have. They happen. They happen with writing. They're gonna happen. I can't guarantee a negative reaction won't happen when you post something. It most likely will. But what we can do is invite that into our space with us. We can embrace that fear. We can have it join us and sit next to us as we work on our writing together now. And so bring in all those fears, bring in all those concerns, because they're going to exist regardless. Regardless of whether or not we actually write something and put it out there, they're still going to exist. So we can either have it be the thing that stops us, or we can have it be the thing that lives with us, that we talk to and we understand and we bring it along for the ride. So let's get into it. So we're gonna get into some actual writing. So our first thing is going to be a guided exercise. And so you can either open up a Google document, open up a Word document, or actually get a physical writing tool if you don't have it, a journal, sticky notes. I used to write on walls for a while, like whatever feels right. Open it up and get ready for it. So you're going to do a list. So you can get ready to start with a list of 1 to 5. And our first thing is going to be to write 5 things that describe your neighborhood. And for this exercise, don't think too much about the thing at all. As I'm guiding you through it, write whatever comes to mind. There is no wrong answer. It's the first thing that comes to your mind, and that's the exact thing that we want. So this is 5 things that describe your neighborhood. Your neighborhood could be however you think of it. It could be your wider community. It could be your physical neighborhood. Be really specific. The cat in the corner store window, the way that tree curves at the end of your driveway, the way that the lights are always on in the supermarket when you drive by. 5 things that describe your neighborhood. Amazing. And it's okay if you don't have all of those written down yet. You're going to have time after to also fill in these things. So our next thing is 4 things that you used to love to do. 4 things you used to love to do. The recipe that you couldn't stop cooking for a while, the show that you were obsessed with for a month, a specific shade of green that you bought everything in, whatever it was. 4 things that you used to love to do.
I like how these are really kind of taking us back to almost like to childhood, like very simple, foundational things that we kind of forget about.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's completely okay if you're having a brain freeze. Don't worry about it at all. I would actually say whatever you're thinking about, you should write down. So whatever 4 things that came into your mind, even if they don't feel relevant to the prompt that I'm giving you, just write them down. I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it really doesn't in this moment. It's really whatever is coming up for you. These are meant to be guiding points. So as much as you can release that pressure, do it. Whatever is happening for you is the right thing that is supposed to be happening. All right, so our next thing are 3 things that haunt you. That thing that you can't stop thinking about that conversation that you had a month ago, your favorite character that died off in a show and you can't believe that that's the way the storyline ended and you can't stop thinking about it, whatever it is, 3 things that haunt you. All right. And our next one is 2 things you learned the hard way. 2 things you learned the hard way. And this could be something from childhood. Maybe it took you a really long time to learn how to tie your shoes. Maybe it was whatever it is, just 2 things you learned the hard way.
We have some good reactions going on in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. And Jane, I would say be as honest for everyone. Be as honest as you want to be, right? Whatever. The only one who is seeing this is you. So however honest you feel like you need to be right now, do it. If also you're not going to be honest with yourself, okay, right? That is something that you need to do right now. And that's completely all right. It's however much you feel. This is only for you. So our last one is one boring routine. One boring routine. Amazing. All right. So we've got our list, and now I'm going to ask you to do a free write. And so a free write means that for the next 3 minutes, you are just going to write. I'm going to give you a prompt, and you're just going to write, and you're not going to stop. Even if you don't know what to say, what you're going to do is you're going to say, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say repeatedly until you have the thing to say. When you get stuck, go back to one of the things you just wrote in your list and use that as a starting point. Go back to one of the things and expand on it. Talk about it more, dive into it. So our prompt for this free write is, this is something I need you to understand. This is something I need you to understand, and start your free write by finishing that sentence. So this is something I need you to understand, and then go for it. And you're going to have the next 3 minutes just to write. And again, no matter what, just don't stop. That is your only goal right now, is to not stop your writing. I'm going to put a timer on. And again, when you hear the sound of my voice, that's when you'll know it's time to come back. I'll give us a 30-second warning to stop. But if you want to put on music for yourself, go for it. But again, we'll have 3 minutes. Amazing. I believe in you. See you soon. All right, everyone, you've got about 30 seconds left. Okay, so I'm going to encourage you to finish your sentences and your thoughts as much as you can. Okay, and we are going to come back together. So how was that? How did it feel? Was that the longest 3 minutes you've ever had to experience? Was it the shortest? Was there anything that surprised you? Anything that you noticed that came up? Just overall, how was it? Long 3 minutes. Yeah. Went by kind of quick. Okay. Yeah, Taylor.
I think you should be billing my insurance because I feel like this is quality therapy today.
Amazing. I will send it along.
Also, the
But-
priming, the priming activity made it way easier for me to write in this 3 minutes than I ever would find it, an ability to do that.
Thanks. Yeah, I felt like journaling. Yeah. Yeah, go for it, Laura.
I don't feel like I ever maybe let myself write for like a period of time. You know, you're always questioning and second guessing and stopping. And so the whole notion of just like, don't stop for a period of time, I actually thought was interesting because then stuff actually did start coming out. So.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Kim, go for it.
Yeah, I loved the framework. I have a post that I've been wanting to write about. You gave me the framework and then the headline. This is something I need you to understand. It's like, bam, the headline fell out, the body copy, and it was just able to write for 3 minutes. So I needed that little catalyst to help me get it out of my head and put it on paper.
Amazing. And we're gonna keep on working on that. So I'm glad that you already have that foundation. Grace, go for it.
I had kind of the opposite where I had something very specific I thought I wanted to write about. And as soon as I started typing, I wrote about something else. And I thought that was really cool. And so it made me realize like, oh, this is what needs to come out right now.
Yes, it absolutely is. I love that. I love that. And then just Nurse and Kristen in the chat, there's nothing wrong with either of you. Just to like fully and completely say that there is nothing wrong with you. This is hard, period. That's it. It's hard. It's hard to talk about ourselves. It's hard to actually do this thing. And so the frameworks that we're providing now are to help make it easier, but I would say it's usually hard. So these are things to help guide you, and it's completely okay. And so just to call out the things that we just did there. So we did a free writing exercise, which can be helpful to help get through some of that, some of the blockers that you might have when you just are going to keep writing, you don't know where you're going to go. The other thing that we did was an image inventory. So when I asked you to think about the things around your neighborhood or the things that you love to do, you're just gathering images. And so it can be helpful just to think about what's around you when you're stuck with writing. It could be what's physically around you when you're thinking about a specific scenario. Just write down all of the images that you can think about. This could even be good if you're on the train or in your car or whatever it is. Gather those images and then make observations about them. And so your observation notes are not full sentences. They don't have to be. They're just things. They are tidbits of conversation. They're the things that you're noticing on your drive. They are the way that this list was. They're your like seeds that you're going to grow later on. So have these be your observation notes so you can pick when you're actually ready to sit down and write the post, you'll already have this framework, not the framework, the foundation for it. And the other thing is this recipe framework. So when you're thinking about writing something and you want to say like, I don't know, marketing strategies, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Think about it as a recipe. What are the 2 parts of this, 4 parts of that, 1 part of this that you might need to be successful or that you want to explain to somebody? Think about it in terms of a recipe, and that can really help getting the thing out. And the last thing is that free write. This is something I need you to understand. Whenever we are writing a post, a LinkedIn post, we want it to be something really specific, and we want it to be one takeaway that we want our audience to have. And what you're trying to articulate is something about your experience, about your expertise, but you're trying to get this other person to understand some specific thing that you're trying to do. And so having that in mind as we're writing it can be really helpful.
And then one thing I just wanted to piggyback off of what you said, Nate, which I loved, is writing, even if you don't have anything to say, writing, I don't have anything to say. I think that's really important for the process, because when you write, it's not all going to come out. It's going to come out really bad first. Like it's going to just be something that you just pour out. But the process of getting through that it's part of that writing process. So not judging yourself as you're writing, just allowing it to free flow. And if you don't have anything to write, then writing, I don't have anything to write. I think that's a great tip.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazing. So now we're going to get into the specific posts that you all want to focus on. And so if something came up for you in that first writing exercise, amazing. If it didn't, I'm going to guide us through some other things to help prompt to get to that specific one. And so again, if you are thinking about one specific thing, as I'm giving these prompts, feel free to like think about the specific that you want to do. So I'm going to ask you to consider a time when you fought for something. Consider a time when you fought for something, and you can write down whatever is coming up as I'm giving these to you. But consider a time when you fought for something. Consider a time when you acted on impulse. Consider a time when you were comforted. Consider a time when you learned something. And I'm going to add these in the chat. So think about a time when you fought for something, or you acted on impulse, or when you were comforted, or when you learned something. Ideally, I say it could be in the context of your business or not. And so now I'm going to ask you to choose one of these times to focus on. Choose one of these times to focus on, or choose one of the things that came up for you in that previous exercise. Choose one specific thing to focus on. And once you have that thing, describe it with your 5 senses. What does it feel like? What was it made of? What did it taste like? What did it smell like? What was in the air, right? Describe it as much as you can with your 5 senses. And it's okay if it doesn't make sense. It's okay if you're like, I am talking about, I don't know, a resume. A resume feels like paper, but really think about it. What exactly is the paper made of? What would it look like if the paper was actually made of fire? What would that mean, right? Like really let yourself be as expansive as you can with this as you're describing it. When you're thinking about this time, what was around you? What was above you? What was beneath you? What was to the side of you? What was all around you during this time? Was it really noisy? Was it really quiet? And now when you're thinking about this memory, where in your body does it live? So when you're thinking about the memory, where do you feel it anywhere? Is it in your heart? Is it in your stomach? Is it, were you doing something with your hands? So is it actually in your hands? Is it something visual? Where in your body does this memory live? How did you manage to not forget this memory? Why are you still remembering this memory? What about it is sticking with you? What about the specific memory is important to you that you haven't forgotten it? Out of all of the memories that you have, why have you not forgotten this specific one? Who witnessed this moment with you? Who was around you? Who saw it happen? Was it somebody who was physically there, or was it somebody who you were thinking about who wasn't in the room? Was it your mother's advice that came through, even though your mother wasn't in the room at all? Who witnessed this moment with you? And then what happened next? What happened next in this moment? Yeah, and Taylor, don't worry about getting stuck on any of these, right? These are meant to just be like inspiration points. And so if something resonates with you as I'm saying the things, amazing. If it doesn't, it doesn't. All is well, right? These are just ways for us to think about how we want to describe a specific moment in time and the ways that we can think about it. Thinking about who was around us, what was influencing us, and then the specifics about how it feels, because we really want to get somebody to be in the moment with us. They're really just, again, these are all just seeds for us. And if one feels right, amazing. And so we're gonna take now the next, I'm gonna start with 5, and then we're gonna check in just to see how it feels. You're gonna start to write the post itself. And we're gonna go back to things like, what's the one thing you want somebody to understand? What's the one thing you want people to take away? I'm gonna add these in the chat. What's your one clear message? What's the one moment that's going to exemplify the message that you want to bring? How can you bring somebody into this moment with you? How will they know what it felt like? How will they know what you were thinking? Can they put themselves in that situation with you? If somebody was going to share this with your network, what are they hoping their network is going to gain from it? Why would they want to share it? And so I'm gonna add these questions into the chat for you to consider as you're writing this. But now we're gonna again, I'm gonna check in after 5 minutes to see how we're feeling, but we're gonna start on the post itself. You can use any of the like the seeds that we planted, any of them at all, whichever one feels the right one to elaborate on, go for it. And if you start with one and it doesn't feel right, switch. If you get stuck, go back to another moment, and that's okay. This first draft, it's okay if it's not cohesive. It doesn't, I would say it doesn't matter. All you need to do is get something down. All right. Are you ready? Thumbs up. Ready to write it? How are we feeling? Any thoughts that we want to share before we start our work together? All right. Well, let's write then, and see you in 5 minutes. Again, I'll give you a minute warning, and then we'll come back. And then if I'm assuming we're going to need more time, so we've got more time allotted to it, but we'll just check in then. All right, so we have 30 seconds left for our 5-minute check-in. All right, everyone. So this is our 5-minute check-in. How is it going? How is this feeling? What's going on? Are you stuck? Are you not stuck? Do you have a path forward? Do you feel like you're clear or not? Yeah, so that was really quick. Sure was. Fastest 5 minutes ever. Yeah, 5 minutes seemed faster than 3 for sure. Cool. Took some time to get started. Yeah, so Michelle, feeling like things are way too personal or unrelated to business. What I would ask is, what specifically is coming up? Is there a takeaway, a specific takeaway in that that can feel like it can relate to business, even if it's not a specific business outcome, that it's something about the way you want somebody to show up, or it's something about some experience that you have about like the way we all are human in the world, whatever it is that might relate to business just by way of us being people who are in business, meaning like we're all people who show up. And so can that be part of it? Yeah, Narissa, go for it.
Hey, thank you. One of the things that I was just thinking for the questions that you had provided in the chat, like I had the one clear message that I was focusing on that I wrote later. But then like for can the reader be in this moment with me? Do they know how I felt, what I was thinking? Like all of that became a little bit more challenging because I think in talking, what I was sharing was related to a story that I have shared before because it's memorable, but trying to get it in writing and have it be as expressive and as engaging as what I would say verbally is harder. Do you have any suggestions on that? Because you also don't want to write a novel. Yeah, so that's my
Yes.
question.
So to clarify, so the question would be like, how can you get some of the ways that you might like engage verbally with somebody? How can you get that to be reflected in the writing?
Yes, because I'm a lot more expressive when I'm verbally telling a story because you have hand motions, you have body language, you have tonation. But then when you're writing, it's okay, how do I get this across so that people understand and they get the punchline for the most part, where it's like instead of saying, oh yeah, you had to be there.
Yeah, so what I would encourage you to do first is to write it exactly how you would say it. Write it all out in the ways that you would say it. And when you feel the need, I would say like use a hand gesture, think about that moment and think about what exactly you might want to be trying to emphasize. Is it an emotion? Is it an emphasis? And then you'll be able to find maybe some of those descriptor words. But the first thing I would say is don't worry about the length of it. Write it out fully, and then you can go back and edit it. So as completely as you can get it out in whatever way you can get it out as a first draft is the right way. And then later on, you can go back and say, actually, yeah, sure, you can absolutely do a talk to text. That's completely great. And then you can go back and edit it and see where it feels like you need to remove things, or you can feel like, actually, when I tell the story, I find myself emphasizing this, but my words aren't as lively as they need to be right now. And then you can go to thesaurus, or you can go to wherever you need to go to find the exact right words and pare it down. And we're going to go through some editing things in a minute as well. But that's what I suggest. However you can get it down as that first draft is the right way, and is the way that you can figure out the way that you want to express it as best you can. Susan, go for it.
My problem is I never know if anyone else cares. That's my biggest problem. I can write something and I have lots of experiences from when I own my own accessory brand and different experiences, volunteer work I do, but why does anybody care? And what am I, just because something's gratifying to me, is anybody going to care? And how do I not feel like an idiot posting?
Yeah. Yeah. So just to completely normalize that, I don't know if there's ever a way to, I always feel strange posting. I'm always like, is anyone going to care about this? I have no idea. And so you can't actually, I would say, I can't actually ever know that. I can't know if somebody's going to care. All I can do is get it out as clearly as I possibly can. If there's something specific, right, this is something I need you to understand, that's my goal. It feels important to me. And so I have to hope that it feels important to somebody else. And more than likely, it's going to. We have a lot of similar experiences in the world. And I would say if it's sticking with you, there's a reason why it's sticking with you. And if you can get that reason across clearly, somebody else is going to understand that. And so we don't actually know. And I would say it can be trial and error as long as it can be a real like ego hit to post something and not get the not get the reaction we want back out of that. And so I would say as much as you can separate that from what you're actually writing, and to say that it's not about you, even if no one reacts, it doesn't mean that it didn't resonate. It could mean 1,000 different things about the LinkedIn algorithm. So I would say, I know for me, I would never write anything if I was focused on that. And so as much as you can say like,
stops me the most. So
yeah. So just try to focus on being as truthful and as clear as you can in what you're writing about. Because that's all we can do is like know our own experience and be experts in that and then put that out into the world.
thank you.
And I think one other thing just to add on, Jane had a really good point also about if there are topics that you're wondering, where you should expand on, you can take advantage of the polls on LinkedIn just to gauge the temperature of maybe where your followers are leaning more towards or curious about. A temperature check. It's a great way to do that. And just to, we all like Nate said, we always feel like, what value is what I have to say? Like, do people resonate? But if you're kind of going between different areas of focus, that's a great way to kind of gauge which direction to go into.
Thank you.
Yeah, and there was a note in the chat that I can't find now, but there was a note in the chat about having a bunch of different ideas and not knowing which ones to follow. And so what I would say is choose one right now and then save the rest. Like save it in a document, make sure you have them to go back to. So choose just one that feels the most right for right now, knowing that you can go back to the other ones. Start trying to write on the one, and if that doesn't work, then switch to another one. But I would say just choose one specific idea and know that if you have a bunch of different ideas, great, you've got 10 different LinkedIn posts now that you can build on later on. And so even if it's not right for this one post, it might be right for something else. So as much as you can, just choose one and go for it. Yeah, Liz. So if you have too many thoughts, I would say just choose one, anyone, and then save the rest. Make sure that you have them in like an observation. I keep an observation notes document. Whatever is going to work for you, keep it there so you can go back to it. So I'm just going to share some editing thoughts now, and then we'll go back into a working session. And so if you already have the foundation for your post, you can use these to edit it. If you want to use this time for more writing, absolutely amazing. And then we'll come back together to ask some more questions and close out, since we've got about 10 minutes left. So for our editing, again, our main thing is that we want to have one key takeaway. So when we want to, if we have too many in there, if we read it and we're like, wait, like it can be one key takeaway with 4 different bullet points, but it has to be that one key takeaway. So our first question when we're editing is there that one thing? Will somebody reading this know the one thing I want them to take away? And if they don't, then save the rest, right? Save the rest for the future posts and know that you can have now one of your drafts might be 4 different posts. So try to get that one specific thing out there. Go back and remove any filler words. So any of the filler words that you have, in order to so that any of the filler words, because it's LinkedIn, we want to make it as, we want to say the biggest thing in the shortest way possible, because it's still social media. And so we want to be as concise as we possibly can. Our next thing is going to be to think about our verbs. So sometimes I go back and I'll like highlight all of the like is, are, to be, right? How many of those do you have? and see if you can change those verbs to be something that's more lively. If you can change it to be something that's more exciting. Did this person say something to you, or did they yawn it at you? Did they roar it at you? Did they, whatever the thing is, try to change some of those verbs to be a little bit more descriptive. And then the same thing with our descriptors. Are there ways that we can make it that somebody is going to be able to viscerally feel something, feel it with their senses, really be in that moment with you? And then the last thing is to think about the first two lines. So with LinkedIn, when you post it, the first two lines are what's going to show up, and then somebody's going to click see more. And so our goal for those first two lines is to make them want to click that button to see more. And so rearranging your post, if you have, really exciting lines elsewhere or whatever it is, rearranging it to make sure that those first two lines are what's going to capture somebody and make them want to continue reading. And so I just shared those in the chat with you. And so we'll take another 5 minutes to go back into a working session, and you can continue drafting your post. You can edit it now, and then we'll come back together to check in and see how it's going and see if we need to get unstuck or any of that. All right, so we have about a minute left. And so just giving that time check, and also if anyone wants to share in the chat if they're stuck on anything.
One thing that I saw in the chat, Nate, was maybe, transitioning from or starting as a business owner, really like sharing your thoughts from that perspective and maybe being hesitant on wanting to share your thoughts. But I think the benefit is that you're being very authentic and transparent in your journey. People want to hear that. So maybe, you might be thinking of it twice because you're saying, well, as somebody who's now as a business owner, I'm a little bit more reluctant to share some things. So what would maybe be some, I guess, how to overcome that part of it?
Yeah, I think it depends on what the message is, because I think there are going to be other people who are just starting out as business owners who want to hear exactly what you're saying. There's going to be folks who have never started a business and have no plans to, but they're going to resonate with the feeling of insecurity or the feeling of starting something new. And so they're going to resonate with what you're saying, even though they're not business owners at all. And so what I would say is whatever thing you're specifically focusing on, whatever the one thing is, really focusing on that and being as clear as you can about that one thing. And then it's going to resonate with somebody. And so even, again, even if it's whatever the specific thing is, insecurity, starting something new, that's what's going to be the thing. And people, as you said, people want transparency, but they also want to know how either how you overcame it or how you didn't overcome it and acknowledged it. People resonate often with those kinds of feelings themselves. Yeah, Liz.
So when I think about my topics, like they're just not as sexy as like I think of some of yours. Like yours have a lot of emotional pull, right? There's things where people can see themselves in a lot of your stories. So, if I'm talking about e-commerce or live shopping or something, like that's not like, oh yeah, there's just not that same resonation. So like, how do you get some of that emotion in there where you can have people feel like, yes, there's some frustrations and I can capture some of that, but like on the e-commerce side, but I just struggle a little bit with the emotion to not there. So I'm curious on your thoughts.
Absolutely. So I think that there's two ways to approach it. I think one is from your business end. So when you're talking to a client and that client doesn't want to implement a thing you want them to implement, getting to the emotion of that. What did that client say to you? What are some of the emotions that are coming up for them? What are they concerned about? Are they frustrated? Are they nervous? What are some of the emotions that you have to tap into to get them to do the thing? And so the emotions can be actually like in the business interaction itself and focusing on that moment of the e-commerce, or before they launch a new site. What are some of the emotions that are coming up for them when they're launching one of the initiatives that you're implementing, and tapping into those kinds of emotions, whether it's excitement or nervousness or whatever the thing is. So that's one end. And then the other end, I think, is shopping can actually be super emotional, right? Like the shopping experience itself, a lot of emotions come out from that, whether it's choosing the thing that's right for you or, feeling not seen by the current offerings, or, getting the social messages that we get from shopping and commerce in general. And so I think you can tap into the emotions themselves that come up around shopping overall. What are the emotional experiences that happen for folks when they actually purchase a thing or when they're trying to purchase a thing, and focusing on that.
Okay, thank you. And I remember you and I had a conversation early on about that. So thank you. Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, I've got a lot of feelings about shopping, so but I would say definitely for me, it is for sure an emotional thing that you can for sure tap into. Amazing. So we've got just a few minutes left, and so I'm going to hang out, but I think I'm going to change my offering on the website to be content. So we didn't get a chance to actually do some feedback with one another. And so if you've got a post that you want to share and talk about, reach out and let's talk about it. But I hope you have the foundation for something that that you can work on. And I'm just going to share this Mary Oliver quote that I love. It's instructions for living a life. Pay attention, be astonished, and tell about it. And that is what I absolutely think any of your LinkedIn posts should have the spirit of. It should be instructions for living your life. What does that mean? You have to pay attention, be astonished with what you're seeing, and then do your best to tell others about it. So we've got some specific frameworks here to help you, but really that's the focus, to tell about whatever is going on for you and to do it as clearly and as much as somebody's going to be able to be along with you and know what those instructions are, know what it means for you. And so we've got 2 minutes left, but so Ida, I'm gonna hand it back to you.
Yeah, I know it's a topic we can continue going. This is really rich and really great. So thank you again for taking the time to put all of this together. I'm going to be once this recording is done, I'm going to be putting it up in Circle and then putting kind of the transcript, a little bit of what you've talked about, as well as, if wanting to continue to really keep this dialogue going, please do so in the Circle. We can be able to go in the comments and kind of just continue what you've already established for us here. So thank you again, Nate, so much. Thank you all for attending, and we'll see you on Circle and continue the conversation. Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Can I ask a quick question? Sorry.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So once you have your post and everything, like do you have any advice on where you find like hashtags or all the relevant sort of like LinkedIn stuff that you're supposed to put on there? Is there a guide to that anywhere?
Okay, ready? I think it's an unpopular opinion. I don't actually think hashtags are worthwhile. I do them because I don't want to not do them, because it can't hurt to do them. But I've done posts that have done really, really well, and I've forgotten to put the hashtags, and then they do just as well as the ones that do the hashtags themselves. So I would say like I choose 3 to 5 that feel right to me. The LinkedIn will auto suggest hashtags, and so I usually just choose whatever is auto suggested to me. But that's really it. And so truthfully, I would say the algorithm changes, and as much as you can forget about an algorithm, I would encourage it. There are some things like not putting the links in your post and putting it in the comments. LinkedIn doesn't use external. So some of those things I think have some merit to them. But if your post and the content is good, it's going to do well. And that is what I've learned. Pictures help, but I also have had posts really well that don't have any pictures of them at all. And so I would really say focus on the content as much as you can, and the other things are like decoration, honestly.
Thank
you. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I don't want to, sorry to cut it short.
Thank you. And bye, Nate. Thank you so much. Ida, you did amazing. Nate, you did amazing. I was just in the background. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye. Thanks.
Bye.